Good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started today. Welcome to today's Sunbelt Conference Football Media Teleconference. We are now joined with Shawn the head coach of App State. If you have a question for Coach Clark, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, it's good. Getting ready to play a great Arkansas State game. Arkansas State team. It's been 25 days between contests, and we're very excited to get started back in our season and look forward to bringing Coach Anderson and his team to Boone.
Thank you very much, Coach. Our first questions come from George Stoia with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Please go ahead, George.
Yeah, Coach. Arkansas State runs, two different quarterbacks out there every other series. They're switching. Does that make it challenging to prepare for them? And secondly, have you ever seen a team be able to successfully and effectively do this as well as Arkansas State has?
To answer your first question, with Logan Bonner and Lane Hatcher, I think they're two of the top quarterbacks in our conference, and things don't really change when they're in the game. Again, they're going to be who they are and run their offense. Again, they're a high-powered offense, and something we'll have our work cut out for us. But again, Arkansas State is through time has put a lot of points, a lot of offense, and Coach Anderson has a great system he runs down there. So again, we have to be sound in what we do and play our gaps consistently and be able to play great defense in the back end. But we'll have our work cut out for us.
All right, thank you, George. Next question comes from Brad Bobo with the Ticket. Please go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, Coach, A-State, went through a run of its positive test and went 3 weeks without playing, and once they did, Coach Anderson talked about sort of kind of having a lack of legs as that game wore on. How big a concern is that for you as you guys crank things back up?
Well, I think it's always a concern when you're off 25 days before your last game and 17 days in between practices. But if it was going to happen to a team, I feel confident in our program. Again, we're a very senior heavy team. The guys that play a lot of football and around here in Boone. But we had to come back and almost start a mini camp. And we came back the 14th of October, and the 14th and 15th were more of a mini camp for us to get back in the swing of things, and then we started to a normal game week. It's concerning, but I feel very confident where we are as a program and our players that shouldn't be an issue.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Brad. And a reminder to members of the media, *1 to get in the queue. Next questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Morning, Dan.
I missed some of the earlier, so you might have already answered this. If you have, I apologize. But when were y'all able to get back to actually getting your whole group, back into practice? And was it almost like you had to start completely over?
In some ways. Again, we played Campbell on the 26th of September. Had a brief pause in there for 17 days before practice. And in that time, we were able to work out in small groups of 4 plus a strength coach. And we did that on a continuous basis. We didn't really skip a beat as far as that went, and started practicing on October the 14th. But the 15th of October was the first day we had our entire team at practice in a long, long time. And we're back. And, again, it's day by day. We test again this afternoon, and we'll see where it goes from there. So but we're just excited, ready to start playing Arkansas State again.
What have you seen from your guys in the 4 days you've been back?
I've been very impressed with our guys, how they handle themselves. They handle themselves like pros. And we kind of went through you go back and look at the Tennessee Titans. They had their brief pause, and they had 2 walkthroughs and 1 practice, and we were able to come out and be successful against the Bills. So we use that as a platform of where we want to be. But we've had some very spirited practice. We really haven't skipped a beat as far as what we do offensively or defensively or special teams. And it'll be interesting to see how we play Thursday night here on ESPN.
What were your impressions of Arkansas State after they had that wild one last time?
Well, they call it the Fun Belt for a reason. There's a lot of points scored in that game, and we're very familiar with Georgia State and Arkansas State. But, again, they just have so many playmakers. You look on offense, and you have Jonathan Adams and the Bowling kid and the Green kid. Those guys are some receivers that can take it to the house whenever they catch the ball. And Out of that, they have a great running back in Murray, and the two quarterbacks. Again, I said this earlier. They're just as good. They're as good as anybody in our conference, and they do handle. They run the offense very efficient. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do, and they're not going to sway from that mindset. And then on defense, I think they're very sound on defense. They have 92 Forrest Morrell. I think he's been there for a long time. I remember playing him a couple of years ago, and he's really a run stopper in the middle. And Antonio Fletcher, I think he's one of the top DBs in the conference.
Appreciate it, Coach.
No, thank you, bud.
All right, thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. If everyone can stand by, I want to place everyone on brief hold here. We'll be back with Coach Chadwell of Coastal Carolina here in just under 2 minutes. Please stand by. We are now joined with Jamey Chadwell, the head coach of Coastal Carolina. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yes, thank you. What a great game the other night there on national television. Just spotlighting us in Louisiana. It was a great, hard-fought battle. We were fortunate to come out on top there at the end. But thought our guys played well in all three phases, and really was able to build off that win. Hopefully, as we go forward, we know we got a huge challenge coming up against Georgia Southern. We're glad to be home. They're basically a 53-yard field goal away from being undefeated themselves. So in this league, it doesn't get any easier. It gets harder as you go, and we know it's going to be a huge challenge for our program. But thankful for the win that we had, and looking forward to this week.
All right, thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Pete Icobelli with the Associated Press. Please go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Jamey, that was a big win, and congratulations on getting ranked. I know your guys are excited about that, but how do you keep that perspective from being thrilled about, getting into the national rankings and spotlight a little bit, knowing there's a lot of season left to go?
Well, Pete, that's a great question. There was a lot of guys excited. First time, obviously, for us in our community and our university, so it's a big deal. But also, we're realistic, knowing if we slip up one time, we'll probably never see it again. So, I told our guys that if you want to stay there and you want to continue to do something for this program, we got to continue to keep winning. And so when we've got good leaders on our team, I think that we'll do a good job of keeping it in perspective. Young guys. They think, they're all excited, but I think our guys that have been here, been through the battles, know what the challenges are coming forward. And so I think they'll keep us even keel there, and I hope they do anyway. And as a head coach, our coaches, we got to do a good job too of moving forward. But it is something that's, pretty special for our university and our program, being the first time ever.
Jamey, I know, a lot of work went into this. I don't know if there's anybody left on your team who was part of the FCS run at number one at all. But how did you get these guys to buy into this? And the fact that, we could compete nationally in an FBS conference.
Well, it's it's so hard when you were, a dominant FCS and all those things. And then when we got, to FBS, I think the guys that were here thought, well, we're just going to continue to do that. Didn't understand what it took to win at this level, especially in the Sun Belt, and how tough it is. And it took us a while, I don't want to say get over that mentality, but to understand that we're in a different league and a different level, and it's completely different. And once we got our guys to understand the work that it takes, but two, really just the preparation from a mental standpoint and a thought process standpoint, a mindset, that's when we started getting better. It showed last year, the record was 5-7. But we made a lot of progress from the previous year, at least far as from a team the previous couple of years. And I think those guys that are especially our fifth-year seniors that were here in 16 right before the transition or right during the transition, they didn't want their last year to be the team that couldn't get us sort of over the hump, so to speak. And they've been great as far as getting young guys to buy into our culture and what's important to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next questions come from Chris Vanini with The Athletic. Please go ahead, Chris.
Jamey, kind of going back to that, when you decided to leave Charleston Southern to join Joe there, I mean, is this a point you thought this program could reach at some point?
I did. I had, high expectations obviously for coming here with Coach. I knew he, the way he ran his program, I had a lot to learn from me personally, but also playing against Coastal, knowing, what they have and what we could be. I felt like it was an opportunity, a place that you could really grow and do some special things here because of a lot of the built-in, competitive advantage that you feel like you have. And it's a challenge. I mean, I know we're not close to where I think this program could be, but we're heading in that direction. But I did think we had, some opportunities to do a lot of good things here at this place.
And I know Joe is still there kind of in that special advisor role. How often do you talk with him? Is he ever around the team anymore?
No, he's not. He's not here today. Most of his stuff, obviously, anything that he does within our, university is typically virtual. We try to talk, whether it's through text or something, about once a week. He'll ask about the game and how the team, what he feels like, how the team's feeling, et cetera. He'll check in from that standpoint. But he's not involved in any of our, day-to-day operations, so to speak. He's oversees some things that, through the president and some of those things that, his role requires.
I appreciate it, Jamey.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Chris. Our next questions come from Alan Blonin with the Sun News. Please go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, hey, Jamey. So do you feel like you're the coach of one of the top 25 teams in the country at this moment?
Yeah, I like our team. I told them we didn't need to be ranked to feel like we were one of the better teams, in the country. And and we don't, in my opinion, we don't need a ranking to tell us how good we are. We've been telling our team how good they are truthfully since spring. Thinking that we could be a good program. So I think our guys believe that, and I think we're playing at a high level. I'm also, Alan, realistic to know that the teams in this league are good every week, and if we don't come to play, we can get smacked in the face by anybody we got left. And so it's a great honor for us, but not something that we're going to dwell on, at least within our program.
All right, and you have a vote in the coaches poll. Have you been voting for Coastal Carolina? They've been receiving votes for a few weeks.
I have. I've been voting for the Sun Belt teams that I feel like deserve to be ranked, including Louisiana. People have been playing, so I try to. I don't obviously get to watch tons of football, but I do know. I feel like I do know some good teams when you do see them and some of those things. So I've tried to be fair and reasonable with where I think we are, or where Louisiana was, or anybody in our league. I think that's playing at a high level.
All right, Coach, and I got this last one here. So the media hasn't been able to speak to Grayson McCall yet. Can you explain the decision there to not allow him to speak to the press, and will we be able to speak to him at any point sometime here upcoming?
Well, just a young kid with a lot of expectations on his shoulders, and felt like he had a chance to do some good things. I wanted to try to eliminate just as many distractions for him and so he could focus on being a student during the day and being a high level quarterback for us during the afternoon and night, and just trying to eliminate as much of those things that we can to allow him to focus on certain things. There'll be a point in time when I think he's ready to speak, but that's a freshman policy. It's not just a quarterback policy. I do that with all my freshmen. Just because from a maturity standpoint and an opportunity to be able to allow them to grow in their position, and then once they're ready, then we'll wrap it off on all our freshmen. But no freshman is spoke since I've been the head coach.
All right, thanks, Jamey.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alan, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We are now joined with Steve Campbell, the head coach of South Alabama. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue for Coach Campbell. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Yeah. Good morning. We're coming off of a good win against a very good Texas State football team. Really proud of our guys' effort. I was proud of the way that we started the game coming off of a 23-day layoff. I thought the guys started fast offensively, and we were able to to match them, and went back and forth there early, and then we were able to create a little separation there in the fourth quarter, and really proud of the way that the guys finished. You know, I was a little concerned about conditioning and things of that, you know, nature that you would be after having not played in such a long time, but was pleased with the way that the guys finished, and we were able to close one out, get the first win at Hancock Whitney Stadium, and get our first conference win on the year. And now we flip the page and go to, you know, Louisiana Monroe, who's a very dangerous football team, very well-coached football team with a lot of good football players on both sides of the football.
Thank you, Coach. First questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
How big was it for your guys to play well and get a win after you had the close loss with Tulane, struggled against UAB, and then had the game canceled? How big was that to sort of break through in this one?
Yeah, it was huge, you know, for all the reasons you just said. And, you know, in first conference game more than anything else, you know, that keeps us where we want to be as far as the, you know, the conference race, one game at a time, all that. So that it was big. We needed to, you know, we've got a chance to have a really good football team. And I thought we started the season, the first 7 quarters of the year, we were playing at a really high level. And for whatever reason, we didn't finish against Tulane, and then we had our issues and didn't play well against what I think is a really good UAB football team. You know, we got a lot of guys back healthy and made it through a couple of different deals, and were able to bounce back and play, you know, the way that I thought the way that we played earlier in the year, and the way that I know we're capable of playing. We had a lot of guys make plays on both sides of the ball, and you know, we did some good things offensively, defensively, and in the kicking game that gave us a chance to win the game. Now, what we've got to do from this point on is continue to progress in all 3 phases.
You talked about your offense for a second, but can you talk about what you like about your defense now? It looked like they played well when they needed to Saturday.
They did. We got a couple of big stops, had a couple of 4th down stops, and were able to get off the field. We won the battle of, you know, we talk about winning the conversion downs, and, you know, 3rd and 4th down, we were able to win some of those battles, which makes a difference in the game. Defensively, we had a couple of 4th down stops. We were good on 3rd down. We went for it. I did. I called a play on I think we're minus 35, minus 40, and went for it on the 4th and 1. Didn't get it, and the defense went out and slammed the door pretty good and held them to a field goal there. That was a huge deal, and you know, so I was proud of the way that the defense, you know, we held them to under 100 yards rushing, which was, you know, you got a chance to win a bunch of football games when you can do that.
I was going to ask you about that 4th down play. Was that a show of confidence, you know, not just for your offense that, you know, you could pick up that yardage, but also show that your defense, even if you put them in the minus end of the field, they could still make a stop for you?
Yeah, it kind of, you know, I believed in us offensively to go for it. And then I said, well, even if we don't, we're going to get a stop here. And the defense did a tremendous job of rising up. I think we gave them a 1st down and then held them out and made them kick a field goal. So, you know, was really pleased with, you know, they went with the trick play right after the sudden change, and Keith Gallman, a guy that's made plays for us for a couple of years now, went and knocked the ball out. That was a big time football play to keep them from getting down there. And you know, the defense really stepped up right there.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
With Jake Spavital, the head coach of Texas State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, just going off of Saturday's performance, just pleased with how our kids responded from the Troy game in terms of playing, with the effort and the energy and the emotion that, we played with for those first games of the season. But, when you look at the overall outcome, we got to do a better job at minimizing our mistakes. I think Coach Campbell does a really good job in terms of making it hard on teams to play very sound football and mistake-free football. And you look at where we were at, they made a fewer amount of mistakes. They made more plays when it came down to it. But I can at least sleep a little bit better at night knowing that we came out and competed and in terms of effort, and we laid everything out there on the field. But for us to get over this hump, we need to minimize our mistakes and consistently have all 11 guys doing their job. Because when you play teams like South Alabama, and we've got a few more of those teams, the Coastals and the Louisianas and the Georgia Southerns and, Georgia State's, a lot of these teams, you have to understand that you're going to have some minimal possession games, and we got to make sure that our room for error is pretty small. And, but again, there's a lot of optimism with us. We're competing. We're in position at the end of every single game where we have a chance to actually win it. And we got to keep showing up to work. We got to keep, pressing forward and learning and growing and maturing and getting that valuable game experience. And if we keep just playing with the effort and intensity that we normally play with, and we start to learn how to minimize our mistakes, the ball's going to bounce our way soon. So, questions?
Thank you, Coach. Our first question is coming from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. You talked about your guys competed. How big was it that, when you held South on the fourth down in their end of the field, and then you had possession right there and couldn't take advantage of it?
Yeah, we came out and we dropped that trick play that we did. We got the turnover on downs, had it around the 40-yard line. Brady threw a great ball. We kind of relaxed once we caught the ball. We were catching it, and they'd made a great play coming in, knocking it out. That just kind of put us in a scenario, where we were kind of playing from behind right there. You get into a second down and 10, and it wasn't a very efficient play, so you get to a 3rd and 8. You call a QB draw, which was a perfect setup, and we had one guy miss the block. If we end up just having that one block, Brady probably runs for a while on that. And that kind of goes down to the consistency of all 11 doing their job. And, we're not good enough yet to overcome a lot of mistakes. At the previous schools I've been at, if we made a mistake, we had that playmaking ability to get over it. Right now, we're still kind of in that struggle where our room for error is pretty small. So, we got to capitalize on that. I thought the defense will beat up, and they played well, and they kept in front, and they had a really good offensive scheme. And when we had an opportunity to get that turnover and downs, offensively, we got to take advantage of that because that is a big momentum swing, especially for that game.
You're playing what has to be one of the hottest teams in the country this week. What about BYU? What are they doing really well? I mean, obviously they're doing a lot of good things, but what do you see that they are sort of making them go right now?
I think their quarterback is phenomenal. I've been fortunate to coach a lot of good quarterbacks over the years, and this kid's an elite kid. He's a guy that you should definitely have in the talks for the Heisman, and a guy that's going to play for a long time in the NFL. But what makes him special is that he's not just a one-dimensional quarterback. He's not just like a spread gun type of guy. Like, they're so multiple in what they do. They use their tight ends. They're in 12 personnel, 21 personnel, but then they're in empty and spread. And he's got that ability to spread it out, get the ball in and out of his hands, but also get under center, use the run attack, and use the hard play actions. So what makes them good is they're so multiple. Like, they can line up versus anybody and have a pretty solid plan, and it really all is spearheaded by that quarterback.
After BYU, you've got a string of those last 5 conference games. Every one of those teams could easily get to the conference championship game. You sometimes look at that and think that nobody did you any favors with the scheduling?
No, I look at it is with all the unprecedented times and just where we were at the beginning of this year of possibly not even having a season. I think we're fortunate to be playing. And And we're a young team, and that's why I told everybody that we want to play anybody, anywhere, anytime, because we need to play. I got this team for the next 3 years after this year. I return majority of them, and we need that valuable game experience. And we need to learn and grow and struggle and be put in those situations. And, you get to play a Boston College team. You get to go and play a BYU team. BYU's a top 15 team right now. And then on top of it, like the last, stretch of games is very difficult. But we're such a process-driven team that, we just focus on getting better every single day because, we're too young to actually think that far ahead. We need to focus on just the daily execution of things. And I think these kids, they have a short-term memory. They see the transparency of where we're at. We talk to them. We educate them on what we need to improve on, and they understand it. And I think they're just excited to go out there and play BYU, and then we're going to line it back up, and we're going to be excited to play Louisiana. So we just got to keep growing, maturing, learning, just keep developing and getting that experience.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
All right, Travis. See you.
Thank you. So we are now joined with Chad Lunsford, the head coach of Georgia Southern. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Yeah, no problem. Thank y'all for having me. It was really interesting last week, being that we were going to play App State on a Wednesday and, a little bit of a bye week before that. And obviously that getting canceled and then, or I should say postponed, and then UMass being able to schedule a game for us. And, hats off to our athletic director and our university, and also UMass, Coach Bell and their athletic director for making this game happen. I thought it was really good for us not to not play a game for, have 3 weeks in between games. Obviously I know UMass wanted to be able to get something going because their guys had done a really good job and wanted to reward them for the work they put in. And, fortunately we were able to play a good game and get the victory. We do have a huge challenge coming this week with Coastal Carolina, who right now is clicking on all cylinders. And so we got to have a great week of practice and looking forward to this challenge and this coming weekend. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you very much, Coach. Our first questions come from Alan Blondin with the Sun News. Please go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously Coastal's off to a big start, 4-0 and ranked now. So what has impressed you most looking at them on film?
Just how much discipline they have. They don't beat themselves. They've been very explosive on offense and very sound on defense. I think the discipline piece is what's really, when you look at it, that's just something. They play a good game for 4 quarters, very disciplined game. I think the quarterback is really good. I think he definitely makes that offense go. And then, there's several guys on that offense with the running backs, really good tight end, number 6 at receiver, number 1 at running back. Those guys really make plays for them. And then defensively, they're really sound, play very, very hard. That defensive front is pretty impressive. And then, solid linebackers, solid defensive secondary. Kind of hard to find a weakness on them right now. And obviously their play and their records show that.
Hey, Coach, I got a couple more here. One, just based on the types of offenses you two guys play, how big of a factor do you think time of possession will be, or is that an overblown statistic in this case?
Honestly, I think time of possession will be really key in this game. They're very balanced on offense, but they try to establish drives. And if they're able to do that and keep our offense off the field, that doesn't bode well for us because we're a clock control ground team, and and we like to be able to grind it out, and we like to be able to possess the ball longer than our opponent and minimize their opportunities on offense to score. So I do think time of possession will play a big part in this game.
All right, Coach. And lastly for me, you guys had some issues with the coronavirus and quarantines and all earlier in the year. Are you Are you guys pretty much through that? Have you been negative testing for the most part lately?
Early on, right before the season started, we dealt with it a little bit, and it really wasn't the positives. It was more the contact tracing piece that really got us early. But we have been really awesome the last few weeks, and really have not had any issues. I can't speak on numbers just because of the university policy, but we've had really awesome results each week, and I think our guys are doing a really good job of making sure that they're adhering to protocols and all that type of stuff. I think our staff's doing a really good job. But we know that even when you do a really good job, things could happen. I mean, shoot, the President of the United States tests positive, and Nick Saban tests positive, and I mean, it just it can happen. But our guys are doing a good job, and they're trying to be very mindful of things, and our results have shown that.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Thank you, Alan. We've got time for one more with Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach. You talked about two teams that like to possess the ball, keep possession. You said grind it out and so forth. Coastal didn't have a single turnover in the game last Wednesday night. Your guys don't turn it over a lot. How important is that going to be? You talked about time possession, but holding on to the football.
Well, that's part of our plan to win. That's our number one thing. Own the ball is what we call it. And our offense has done a really good job over the last two seasons, and then started this season of not turning it over. But we haven't been as much for us. We haven't been able to get as many takeaways as we're used to. So going into this game, because Coastal does take care of the ball, and they're very opportune on defense too. I think for us, as it always is for us, is ball security and trying to get takeaways is going to be big in this game. And then when you factor in time of possession and trying to keep the ball away from the other team's offense, that's going to play a big part in this game. And we need to be at our very best and make sure that we do not give them an extra possession because we turn it over. And we got to go try to take away the ball from a team that doesn't turn it over. So I think this will be really big in this game.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yep, no problem.
All right, thank you for holding, everybody. We're now joined with Blake Anderson, the head coach of Arkansas State. You got a question for Coach? Please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure. Seemed like it's been forever since we played, but, man, what a game. 59-2 was, I knew it would be a good game. I'm not sure I ever thought it would go like that. Glad we found a way to get a win. Shawn's got those guys playing really, really well, and quarterback was a nightmare, and we're just feel really fortunate to have come out with a win. We needed it desperately. This league's too good to go down 0-2 and start off that way. We had to get it and found ways to do it. Thought all three phases made plays. We struggled defensively, but got a couple stops for field goals and a fourth down stop when we had to have it. Offensively, just matching score for score and throwing the ball the way we did, and then came up with a couple big special teams plays. So clearly a team win. Definitely still things to fix, and we're trying to improve and get better. Feel like we're physically getting back to where we were before kind of going through our COVID issue, here, and think the guys are moving around better and running better, and hopefully that's going to be the thing that carries us through the second half of this, because it's not going to get any easier, as we all know. Headed to App State, huge challenge. Those guys have done a phenomenal job over the last few years in the league, and we know the it's just the challenge that faces us. So our guys are excited about it. We had a great practice yesterday to move forward, and we're gonna try to put a team on the field that can get it done in a tough environment against a really, really good football team.
Thank you, Coach. So a reminder to our members of the media, it was *1 to get in the queue. First questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Blake.
Morning.
One of the coaches earlier said they call it the Fun Belt for a reason. I don't know how much fun it was for you, but had you anticipated something back and forth like that going in, or did you think that, I know y'all got a few stops, but did you think that there would be more opportunities for your defense to get the ball back for you?
Well, I felt like both offenses were kind of the strength. I thought both defenses were going to have their hands full. I just don't know that anybody expects 59-52. I did expect high-scoring game because both of us have put together offenses that really have weapons, quarterbacks that can do what we need them to do. But I felt like it would be a little bit more normal. But we've been in those before, and that's how it went. And when we, as bad as we played defensively in a lot of areas, when we had to force field goals, we did a couple of those, and that was enough to get us in the lead. And when we had to have a fourth down stop, we got it late, and that was enough to keep the win. So, it's just everybody can play. And when going in that they've got weapons and you've got weapons, it kind of comes down to break and serve as much as it is of just trying to be dominant on defense. It's just trying to find a way to break serve a few times.
You talk about breaking serve. How big in a game like that is getting a pick six and getting a defensive score?
Oh, huge. Anytime you get a non-offensive touchdown, whether it be from defense or special teams, and to get the punt kind of punt recovery down in the plus territory, and then to get the pick six for a score. Anytime you get non-offensive touchdowns, and basically we got obviously 7 out of 1, and we ended up scoring a touchdown in the other. So you could say 14 points off of non-offensive plays to some degree. That gives you a chance to win every week, and they're clearly a very good football team and going to win a lot of games. I would think that they can compete on that side of the league without a doubt. So we feel very fortunate we came away with it, and those 2 plays were huge in getting that done.
With the issues that App State has had over the last 3 or 4 weeks, does that change up anything that y'all do in preparation? I mean, y'all had to go through a similar thing. Do anything that you look back at what y'all did and influence the way you get ready?
Really, I think we just have to assume they're going to be at their absolute best. We have had enough issues just trying to getting our team back, get everybody's legs underneath them, make sure everybody's healthy and out there safely. And I think it has taken the process a lot longer than we wanted it to, and definitely a lot longer than we expected. But there's no way to know exactly what they're dealing with. I mean, do they have a lot of symptomatic people? Do they have just some contact tracing? Are they completely fresh and ready to go? I just have to assume they've been working on us nonstop for 3 weeks, and that we're gonna get their very, very best football team. So it's hard enough to go play there anyway. They're clearly a very talented football team, and we're gonna expect their best. We're gonna prepare the same way. There's not much we can do about what they look like or how they prepare other than just be the best us we can be.
Appreciate it, Blake.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Now joined with Matt Viator, the head coach of ULM. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with a opening statement?
Sure. We had open week last week and had some good days and getting it back going. And that's about all I got to report really on open week. But hopefully get a few guys back too as well along the way. But we're going to South Alabama this week. Really, really impressed with their football team and what Coach Campbell's done. And when you look at it, to me, I thought they were good defensively last year. And they've kind of, continued to what they had from last year. Really good players. They can run to the football. I think it starts up front with them, and they just got good players up there. Offensively, I think they're very, very much improved on what they have been. Wide receivers really scare you. They have 3 good ones. They're big guys that can get down the field, led by Baker, but all 3 of them are really good players. Both the quarterbacks are doing good things. I mean, they're playing 2 different guys, and they're different guys. Trotter and Levertich are both different players, but, they both add something to it. And then Carlos Davis has come in and having a really good year, replacing a mentor from last year. So going to be another tough game for us, but look forward to going to Mobile Saturday to play.
All right, thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with the Advocate. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Doing well. Were there a couple of things that y'all maybe tried to emphasize during you had a break really for the first time since y'all, and after your preseason was so crazy, this might have been your first real break. Is there anything that you particularly tried to emphasize during the open week?
We worked really hard on special teams and, getting guys back into the mix, special teams wise that were in it, and then, we're out, and then trying to get them back in, and, so on and so forth. So we went back and, and really, I guess, back to, like you would do in camp, starting back with depth charts and, getting the guys out there that we need out there, and worked hard on that. And then, just trying to, really from an offensive standpoint, trying to, get some consistency, again, kind of went back and looked at some stuff, and but that's pretty much it. I mean, we had 3 days, and it was some teach stuff, but a lot of good on good type stuff, and then and then working the special teams part of it really hard.
You mentioned South Alabama using quarterbacks in and out and some different weapons they have. Does having the two quarterbacks, do you have to almost prepare two different game plans, or are they doing a lot of similar things?
They're doing similar things, with both guys, similar setup, similar plays. Trotter is more of a runner, so, I mean, that there's a couple aspects in there that they don't necessarily do with the other guy, but talking to Coach Stoker last night, I mean, the formations are the same. A lot of the base plays are the same, so I don't think it's a two different game plan deal. You just kind of got to know really, who's in terms of, who's more of a runner and who's not. But other than that, they're doing a lot of the same things.
Did you have a chance to sort of look around the league some over the open date, and what's your impressions of what's gone on in the conference the last couple of weeks?
Really impressed. I mean, just the level of competition and the way people are playing. I mean, it's just it just so happened to be a week too. That pretty much I guess caught some of most all of 3 games. Starting with Coastal and UL, and then the Arkansas State Georgia State game was unbelievable really to watch that. And then I thought the South Howell and Texas State game was very well played too. So I got to see 3 really good games, 3 good football games. I thought all 3 of them are very well played.
And after, I mean, I know you have to concentrate on South, but you've got a run coming up of teams. Every one of them could easily get into the conference championship game. I mean, how all the up and down, is this the best this league has ever been?
Possibly. I just haven't seen enough. I haven't seen several of the teams yet. I haven't seen, Troy or App State or, I don't know. I just haven't seen enough of, really of anybody. But I know what I've seen, I've been really impressed with.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for holding, everybody. We are now joined with Billy Napier, the head coach of Louisiana. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Get *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Well, we're up and running here with the UAB prep. Certainly got a lot of respect for the program Coach Clark has built there. Really impressed with what we see on the film. Got really good personnel. They've done a really good job evaluating and recruiting height, length, speed. Got explosive players. I do think they have an identity in all 3 phases and very well coached group. It's no wonder they've been picked to win their league, and we're excited about the challenge of going to place that's very difficult to win at. So I think they've won 21 in a row at home. So a number of challenges here competing against UAB. But we're in the middle of that prep and look forward to making the trip to Birmingham.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Chris Vanini with The Athletic. Please go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, hey, Billy, how have you seen your guys respond in practice since the loss?
I've been very impressed. We've got good leadership. I think the big thing is we've been putting a premium on ownership at the player level. The intensity and urgency that's required to play at a high level, in the meeting, in the walkthroughs, making every rep count at practice. I think when you go through a tough loss like that, it gives you an opportunity to kind of hit the reset button and recenter, redefine expectations. And I think our staff has done a good job of that. I was very impressed, with the effort in practice yesterday. You're always listening to your players. They're certainly saying the right things, but more importantly, they showed up and did the work yesterday.
I know you guys have said you were thinking about doing some stuff for DJ since he was from Birmingham. Have some of those things been determined? Any ways to honor him?
Yeah, each one of our players this week will wear Coach Looney's last name on the back of their jersey. So our entire travel roster will have Looney on their nameplate on the back of their jersey this week to honor Coach Looney. Certainly we'll have a big contingency of people in Birmingham, from his family there, going back to his hometown.
No, I appreciate it, Billy. That's really nice.
All right, thank you, Chris. Our next questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. You've had a chance to go back and look at the Coastal game. What were some things that you saw from there that you take away that were positives from that?
Well, I think we took a step forward in a lot of areas. I think we've been working towards maybe playing our best football, a more complete game. I think we took a step forward up front on offense. I thought the receivers took a step forward. Those are the two positions where we've had some inconsistency in our lineups. It's been a little bit of a revolving door. So having continuity there going forward, I think will help us as we get healthy. I think overall we played, we did a lot of things well. We turned the ball over. They didn't. I think they played a little bit better on third down than we did. I think the kicking game was a scratch. But overall, very evenly matched and a very competitive game. The big thing for us, I think, is we evaluate that game. We see multiple opportunities maybe where one play can make the difference in the game, and that causes a good reflection from the staff and the players. And how we respond is probably going to be the most important thing here. So I like what I've seen so far, and look forward to getting back out there and competing again.
You've played two different type of offenses the last two games, and I don't want to call UAB traditional, but will it be almost a different look for your defense to get back to playing somebody that plays a little bit more familiar, the offense that you see a lot more?
Well, I do think that Georgia Southern and Coastal are unique because of the option threat. That certainly makes you evaluate everything you do on defense relative to the dive back, the pitch back, and certainly the quarterback having the ability to run. So, I think each week's a little bit different. Certainly this week will be UAB has its own set of problems that we've got to prepare for. So I think you got to evaluate them independently and try to put the team in best position to have success.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right, thank you, Dan. And it looks like Chris Vanini hopped back in here in the queue. Chris, you have another follow-up?
Yeah, just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on their defense. Obviously, it has been one of the best in the country for the last couple of years. What do you make of them?
Well, just that, I think they've got a great blueprint. I think they've got really good personnel. They understand who they are. I think all their pieces fit well together. They've been working at it for several years here with this staff. And history's the best indicator of the future, and they played good defense around there for a long time, and they're off to a really good start this year.
I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Chris, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
All right, guys. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you. We'll continue right along now. We are joined with Chip Lindsey, the head coach of Troy. If you have a question for Coach Lindsey, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure, thank you. It was last Saturday, obviously a real exciting finish here at Troy. We got the win. Didn't play our best, obviously, but really proud of how our team, handled adversity throughout the game. We kept fighting, we kept competing, and found a way to win at the end. Really proud of that. Last year, there's 4 games. I think we basically had an opportunity to win on the last possession one way or another and didn't get it done. So I think we took a step in the right direction. Hopefully that'll be a lot of confidence for especially our kicker, Evan Lagasse, but really our whole team that, we get in that situation again. We've kind of been there now and some confidence that maybe we can finish out. But lots to clean up from that game as we get back into conference play this week versus a really good Georgia State team. But really proud of the way our guys fought, found a way at the end to win at the end, and that's kind of what you do throughout a season. You're going to have some games where you got to figure out how to do it at the end, and hopefully that'll pay off for us down the road. Questions?
All right, thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach. Was there something in particular that Eastern was doing that was caused some problems, caused some concern for you? Something they did different that you might not have seen from some of their earlier games?
Hey, Dan, no, I don't think so. I think it was a couple things. I think, we were up and down throughout the game. We had several opportunities to really take control of the game, and we messed that up, whether it was a penalty or whether it was a turnover, in a critical time. And then defensively, I thought we had some opportunities to get some stops on third down at critical points in the game where, we're up 10 points or 14, whatever it was, and have an opportunity to go up a third score and just didn't get it done. So I think you got to tip your hat a little bit to Eastern Kentucky. They did what they do, and, they did a nice job, too, of maintaining drives and with time of possession. But I think when we look back at the film, there's just a lot of things that we didn't execute at a high level consistently. At times we did. At times we looked really good on both sides of the ball, but our execution was not there on Saturday, and Eastern Kentucky had something to do with that. But I think that's an area of emphasis for us is that, when we said going into the game, to win this game against an opponent that we should win, we have to execute, not turn the ball over, and not give up explosives. And we did all of that, all of the above. So that's why we were where we were at the end. But again, like I said, we kept fighting, kept clawing, and found a way to win.
You play a team this week that scored 52 last week, and then next week you play the team that scored 59. Have your defensive staff, have they locked themselves in the closet yet?
If you play in this league, it's tough being a defensive coordinator. A lot of teams will score points, but when you look back at all those games, and I think those coaches would tell you the same thing, eliminating the explosive plays and being where you're supposed to be helps out a lot. A lot of times offensively, I know for us, when we hit plays, people weren't where they're supposed to be. So obviously Georgia State is really good on offense. We understand that. Last year they did the same thing. They were explosive as well. So we got our work cut out for us. And offensively, we need to play better and help the defense some because bottom line, in this day and age, offense is the name of the game. And in all levels, and even in our league, we have some really good coaches and really good skilled position guys. So it's going to be a challenge for sure, but hopefully we'll have a great plan, and if we can get us a few turnovers, maybe that would help us big time.
What's Georgia State doing that's making them successful offensively?
I think they're just, they do a nice job with the RPO game. Their quarterback is making good decisions. He is a really good athlete too that can hurt you with his legs. Probably not what they had last year with Dan. That kid was very, very unique and very, very good player. But this kid is going to be in that mode, I think, as he gets older. I know this kid. He's from our state, and he's always been a good player. And so they're just doing a really nice job. They have a good offensive line, obviously, with Shawn being the head coach there. He's an O-line guy. That's where his emphasis, I'm sure, is. But you can see those guys just getting better and better, and they've improved tremendously. And I think we're going to have to be ready to go.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. If everyone would stand by, we're going to place everyone on a brief hold. We'll be back with Shawn Elliott of Georgia State. So please stand by. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for holding. We are now joined with Shawn Elliott, the head coach of Georgia State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure. Good afternoon. It's good to be with you guys. And tell you the truth, we're glad to be back on the practice field. We had a great practice this morning. An upbeat attitude. The team was, after a tough loss like we had this past weekend, I thought we responded and rebounded really well and gotten that loss out of our system very, very quickly to move on to another conference game, a Troy team that's, very competitive, a good football team coached by, Chip Lindsey. They're always going to be tough. And, we're excited to have the opportunity to go out and get our first conference win. I mean, we're sitting here and we're 1-2 and, looking at our first 3 games really have the opportunity to be, we feel like with a couple different series going here and there to be 3-0. But we're a confident football team and looking forward to a great matchup this Saturday.
All right, thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach. You talk about how close your team is to being unbeaten on the year. Is this just a matter of maturity and your team growing up just a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at some of the situations that we've had, and there against Louisiana, we played so well there for about 3.5 quarters, and just for whatever reason, they bust 2 big long runs on us, and just couldn't finish it out there in overtime. And there was a little inexperience by our quarterback, missing a little flat route for a first down that could have had us an opportunity to score a touchdown and propel us to that win. And then, the other night you're just waiting for a stop from one side or the other, and we had a fumble recovery for a touchdown there defensively, and some blunders that they just made some really good plays on us defensively. I mean, throwing over the top and some double moves that just can't happen. But we got to shore some things up and continue to play pretty well offensively and get our special teams where it needs to be. It's been a couple blunders that I really can't pinpoint, why they're happening or whatnot, but we've got to work on those to improve. But like I said, we do have a confident football team. I pointed that out that, 3 or 4 series here and all these contests, and we're sitting here a whole different team with a whole different outlook. And now we've got our backs against the wall. We got to dig our cleats in and try not to get it pushed off that cliff, so to speak.
Your guys have scored 101 points the last 2 games. Is this the offense that you thought you might have when you started the season?
We had hoped for it. A lot of it depends on the maturity of our quarterback and how he developed. And, as you can see, if you watch him play, he does a lot of good things, and he's playing at a high level. We really didn't know how quickly that was going to come. We knew we had the surrounding pieces offensively to be successful, but we really just didn't know how quickly he could develop and really manage the offense. He's done a really good job. He's still making some bonehead decisions, of course, but being a redshirt freshman, you typically do that. But we are where we had hoped we would be.
You talk about the quarterback. He's an Alabama guy. Is he going back? It's almost like going back home and to show people something this week. And what has he done well for you up to this point?
I don't think he's going back home to show anybody anything. I mean, I think he's going to win. I mean, that's his goal, and I think he's focused on our football team and not himself. What does he do well? As you can see, he can throw the football a little bit. He's got great athleticism where he can, stress you in the run game as well. And I think for the most part, his decision-making has been pretty good. He's got a really good understanding of our offense, both running the football and through the air, and I'm really pleased with that.
What's your impression of the league over the last 2 or 3 weeks?
Well, we faced Louisiana and Arkansas State, so just looking at those, it almost looks like it's a real disparity in this league is right there. Anyone can go out and defeat anyone. It really is. It's just like the other night. Arkansas State and us, we battle. To the very, very end, a 59-52 contest. Coastal Carolina's got a strong unit. Louisiana, of course, they're strong. And just look, Georgia Southern from top to bottom, I think this league has really showed up, and it's a tribute to the coaches that we have and the caliber of the players that are in this league. We've got really good players in this league.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. That's all the questions we have for today. We do appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. This will conclude this week's teleconference. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us. A copy of this will be posted on sunbeltsports.org later today, as well as our YouTube page. Thank you again for joining us. We hope everyone has a great week and safe travels for those of you on the road. Thank you.